Hi everyone, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. My name is Kieran and this is Skye and Copper. We have Skye, she's my black and white Alaskan Klee, and Copper is my red and white Alaskan Klee. If you've already been subscribed to our YouTube channel Life of Klee for some time, thank you so much. It means a lot to us that you guys have checked out our videos and left comments and have made the decision to subscribe. If you're new to this channel, well, we talk about all things Alaskan Klee, and I tried to give some helpful tips on what owning an Alaskan Klee is like and things that we've learned along the way, some of the things that we've done right and some of the mistakes that we've made, and hopefully you can learn from us too. For this video, we're going to do a question and answer session. So last week we put up a questions story on Instagram and we got a lot of questions through. I already did one last month, so this is going to be our second part of our frequently asked questions about Alaskan Klee. If you haven't already, I would love if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to get to 10,000 YouTube subscribers, so every single subscriber counts and it means a lot to us, especially as we're trying to grow our channel and we've been working hard on it for the past year or so. And we're going to start doing regular videos again. I know we've got a bit slack recently, but we're going to try and aim for doing 2 YouTube videos a week. So if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments below. You can also send us a DM on Instagram, or you can email us at lifewithklee@gmail.com. But for now, I'm gonna get cracking with the questions. You ready, Copper? So I've got my questions on my phone, and the first one that I'm gonna answer is from Keith, well, Hayes.Keith18, and it was also asked by Sam Zook, and that is, how hard was it to train Skye and Copper? Well, to be honest, Keith, Skye and Copper are still a work in progress. They're both 3 years old, and I would say they're well trained to varying degrees. For example, Skye has very good recall. So if we're out and about, we keep our dogs unleashed because their recall isn't the greatest. It is something that we're constantly trying to work on, but since we've moved to the countryside, there's a lot more distractions and they do both have a high prey drive. So if they see something like a small rabbit, they will go out and chase after it. And while Skye is likely to come back when she's cold, Copper, there's no chance he comes back, he's gone, especially when it's something like a small animal. But with the training, I would say recall is definitely one thing that I wish we had started to work on from the very start. It's such a vital part of being a dog owner, especially if you plan to let your dog off leash, or if you decide to keep your dog on leash. Obviously accidents can happen. It's happened to me in the past. When Skye was about 4 or 5 months old, I got distracted, she yanked hard on the leash and she got off, and because I hadn't trained her in recall, I had to chase after her, and yeah, it was an experience. So I would go back, if I could go back, I would start recall training straight away. And there's loads of YouTube videos you can watch on how to start basic recall training. You can also get a dog trainer to help you with the process. We've been working on it with Skye and Copper for the past 1.5 years, and I would say Skye's recall is pretty good. Copper's recall was a lot better, but it has started to go backwards recently, I think, because we've spent so much time in lockdown and in quarantine that we haven't been able to train as much as we would have liked. And we were obviously living in London before we moved to the countryside, so we didn't really have a big garden or a park that we could access easily that was comfortable to train Copper in, because there was always lots of distractions and dogs off the lead in London parks. So it's something that we're going to hopefully work on moving forward. A couple of other things that I would suggest if you're thinking about getting an Alaskan Klee puppy and you're wondering about what things do you need to train your dogs on, I would say separation anxiety. It's important to get your dog used to being left alone. And on my website, hellobark.com, there is an interview with a separation anxiety specialist, and there is steps that you can take to try and get your dog acclimatized to being left alone. I would definitely read up about that and do your research on how best you can prepare for the potential separation anxiety that you may experience. I wish it's something that, again, I had known before I got a Klee puppy. I hadn't encountered it with previous dogs, and Copper and Skye both had separation anxiety, different kind of types of separation anxiety, but they both had it. So that's something that I would definitely do research on and do some separation anxiety training once you do get your puppy. The other thing that I would say is really good to train them on is the leave it command, because obviously if you live in a busy home with family and young children, or if you're on any medications yourself, you don't want your dog picking up everything that's on the floor, especially if you drop pills by mistake, even if it's something like ibuprofen or paracetamol. So one thing that we've worked on a lot in the past year is the leave it command. So basically we trained our dogs to leave. If we say leave it, they move away from it and they don't go near it until we allow them to. So that is something that I think is a really important skill to have if you're a dog owner. And Klee are notoriously bad at picking things up. They're scavengers. So when we used to take Skye and Copper out for walks in London with all the kebab shops, the chicken shops, they were always finding stuff on the ground. So that was a really important command to teach them. I'm gonna try right now and see can I get them to do it. So I'm gonna break up a bit of biscuit. Leave it! So as you see, Copper did what he's supposed to. He backed away. Skye's thinking she can get it. Skye, leave it! Good girl, good boy. There you go, good boy. So there you go, that's the leave it command that they've both got pretty well down. Fourth training tip I would give is teaching them how to go to bed. I think this is probably one of the first things that Skye and Copper picked up on. And we just practiced putting them in their bed, saying go to bed, rewarding them if they go close to their bed, if they put their foot in their bed. Every time they touched their bed, when we said go to bed, we'd give them a reward. And gradually that was something that we improved upon over time. And now if someone comes to the house, whether it be a friend, a relative, or just a postman, if we say go to bed, usually they will go to bed. And Skye is very good at staying there until she's allowed to leave, until we say come Skye. Copper isn't so great, but he will go to bed. So I think they're the four things that I would say that you should work on: recall, separation anxiety training, leave it, and go to bed. I think with those four, you'll be well on your way to having quite a well-trained dog. So I'm gonna try and find another question now. So Lana _BM777 asked, do the dogs sleep on the bed all night? This is something that we have gone through spells of allowing Skye and Copper to sleep on the bed with us. Good girl, good boy. I think at the start of coronavirus and the start of lockdown, they were probably sleeping every single night with us because, let's be real, everybody needed a bit of a comfort to get us through that troubling initial period. But overall, we don't let them sleep on the bed with us anymore, largely because they tend to go between my wife's legs and they seem to kind of position themselves so that she can't move at all throughout the night. And Skye especially, this lady here likes to sleep between Yasmin's legs, and it's led to Yasmin developing some aches in her hips and her thighs. So recently we've been using that go to bed command that I was talking about in my previous answer. So the dogs now sleep in their bed at night. We started off by putting them in a crate, and they do love their crate, but recently we've transitioned them out of the crate and we just have a dog bed that's on our landing where they can see into our bedroom, and they seem to happily spend all night there. Of course, we do every now and then let them into bed with us. Usually if it happens, it's on a weekend, and that's just more because, you know, on the weekend you want to chill and relax and I guess unwind a bit, and it is nice to have the feeling of the dogs next to us and receive the affection and the love that they give us and give it back to them. And they do love being in bed with us. They get so excited whenever we let them in our bed. But overall, we're trying to be a bit more disciplined about it. And I think maybe, you know, some dog trainers will say allowing your dog to sleep in bed with you could contribute to separation anxiety. Other dog trainers will say it doesn't at all. So I don't know if there's anything to that. So Fiona P. Sawyer has asked, what do Klee coats feel like? What tools do you use for grooming? So I would say Skye and Copper both have, the coats are very soft. That's the first thing I'd say. They have, I guess, medium length hair. I think you can see Copper's got a lot of hair around his chin, so it's easier to kind of show right now. Copper's hair is a little shorter than Skye's. Skye has slightly longer hair. They're both very soft. I wouldn't say it's coarse, it's soft to touch. In terms of grooming, we've tried many things over the years. We've had a normal dog brush that you can get on Amazon. Then I watched another Alaskan Klee YouTube channel called Kika's Alaskan Klee, and I saw that she was using a de-shedding glove, and that's something that we also were told about on Instagram by a few Klee owners to try, and that worked miracles. I thought it was brilliant, and I used it and I found it very good. Yasmin used it too. I think maybe I was a bit more, I was a little bit more successful potentially with the glove of getting the hair off, but the glove did start to disintegrate a bit, and Skye and Copper weren't the biggest fans of the glove, so they would tend to wiggle a little bit, especially Copper. Although I know when I put up YouTube's previously of me using the de-shedding glove on Skye and Copper, people have said, how do you get your dogs to stay so still? So maybe it's not quite as bad as other people. But we recently got sent a pet teaser. To try. This isn't a sponsored video, by the way, but I'm just mentioning it because it worked really well for us. And apparently these guys, my wife has informed me, also do a brush called the Tangle Teaser. and that's for humans. But pet teaser works really well, and we're actually really impressed by it. And it's nice because the dogs will be lying on the couch of us, and we can just gently brush them, and they don't seem to mind it at all. We try to brush them 2 to 3 times a week. We're not as disciplined as perhaps we should be, but we have found that this brush has helped a lot at getting rid of their hair. And I've also found that nutrition seems to kind of affect how much Skye and Copper shed. When they're on higher quality food, they seem to shed a lot less than when we were feeding them just your regular bog standard kibble. So I don't know if that's a coincidence or there's something to that, but yeah, I hope that answers your question. If you're just double checking, I hope that answers your question. But for grooming, this brush has definitely been the best thing that we've used, and I'd say with this combined with the grooming glove, I think you'd be well on your way to having a nicely groomed Alaskan Klee. So that's my tip on the grooming. So Bolt Ruzal has asked, how do you handle the separation anxiety? So as I've mentioned, Skye and Copper both have separation anxiety. It's something that we've had to work on since we got Skye. And when we first got Skye, we had read up and were told that the cry it out method was the best method. So that's basically leave your dog alone, let them cry and cry and cry, and then hopefully they'll get used to being left alone. That never worked with Skye. Then we decided to get Copper because we wanted her to have more company, and we also wanted to get a second dog, but we were also hoping it might help her separation anxiety. And while she was quieter in the cage when Copper was there, Copper's separation anxiety was worse than ever. While Skye was quieter when Copper was there with her, Copper's separation anxiety was worse than Skye's ever was, so it didn't solve the problem at all. The thing that we have tried, and again, it's about being disciplined with the training, is we have tried separation anxiety training, and we've tried to get them used to being left alone and incrementally building up how long they're left alone. The idea is you put your dog in a room where they're going to be when you go out of the house, or if you're going to use a crate, and you watch them on the dog camera and you see how long your dog is comfortable being left alone. And then just before you can tell your dog is showing some signs that they're starting to suffer separation anxiety, you come back into the room. And the idea is that you slowly build that up over time until you gradually can get to a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And that's what we've been trying to do with Skye and Copper. Again, we haven't been as disciplined as we'd like about it, but we have seen signs of some progress. Of course, a lot of people are probably going to be encountering separation anxiety for the first time this year, now that they've got dogs during lockdown. So I think it's going to be an issue that a lot of people may not be aware of and are caught out by it. And of course, if you have a dog and they previously had separation anxiety, now that we're home all the time, it could be a case of that your dog has regressed back to what they were previously like. So that's what worked for us. Like I said, I can put a link to my interview with a separation anxiety trainer on my website in the description below the video, and you can have a read and maybe you can find some information out from there that could be useful too. Chelsea is Nice has asked, how many colors can Klee come in, and do they breed different colors together? So going by the United Kennel Club, so that's the breed organization that recognized the Alaskan Klee, and they've done so since 1997. There's only 3 colors that they recognize as the breed standard: black and white like Skye, you've got red and white like Copper, and then you've got the gray and white Alaskan Klee, and they're the 3 Alaskan Klee that are in the breed standard. They are the 3 Alaskan Klee colors in the breed standard. Now you will find some Alaskan Klee that are white, and that is a color that is within the breed. But if we're going strictly by the breed standard, white is not a color that is recognized if you are using if we're going by the UKC's breed standard, white is not a color that they recognize. You'll also find some Klee that are largely darkly colored, so they'd be more darker than Skye and have more black on their chest and on their legs, and they may not have a defined mask like she does with her 2 eyebrows and her white face. There's a lot of beautiful Klee with that color pattern too, but just going by the UKC breed standard, that is also not a recognized color. But like I said, you will find many different Alaskan Klee that have kind of different shades. But if we're going by the official definition of the Alaskan Klee, like I said, it's red and white, gray and white, and black and white. So that is the question and answer session over for now. If you guys have any more questions at all, feel free to email us at lifewithklee@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram, it's Life with Klee. We're also on TikTok, Life with Klee, and you can also send us a comment below and I'll try to reply to it. I know I haven't been the greatest at replying to our YouTube comments, so that's something I need to improve. If there's a particular topic that you would like me to cover, feel free to drop me an email or leave it in the comments below as well. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It would mean the world to us. We appreciate every single person who follows us, and thank you so much for showing so much love to Sky and Copper. But for now, we're gonna sign off. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back soon with another Life of Klee video. So thank you guys, and have a great day.